As you guys know or don't know, you're about to find out. I like a lot of stuff. I like exploring. I like learning. I like pushing myself. And recently, I don't know why, but I am delving back into bread again. And I think it's going to be really cool. I used to make bread a long time ago. And I wouldn't say I was good at it. I was decent, okay. Would never really buy the nice flour or anything like that. So I didn't really have the best experience from time to time with my bread making. And I'll get there with coffee, okay? But recently, I've been looking at different recipes, trying to get an idea what I want to do, or just trying to explore, really. And I don't know if it was just my wife just hyping me up, saying, you used to do really good with bread making. I'm like, whatever. You just want some bread. And I started to go down this rabbit hole of trying to make this really good sandwich bread. Try it with my bread maker that I have. It does a decent job. But something about pushing myself and going for perfection has gotten me to this level of like wonder. And wonder because even though I've made bread before, I'm sure you probably made bread before in some shape and fashion. I wanted to see if I can master it in my own way, in my own liking. It's the same thing that I've done with barbecue, with grilling, and really just trying to understand things. I remember there was a time where I used every week I would smoke some pork ribs. I'll try different recipes, different techniques and all that stuff. And it got to the point where I was making really good pork ribs. And I'm still pretty good at it. So in this particular situation, I've landed on Japanese milk bread. And Japan has always had this fascination with me. I've gone there once in my life. I would love to go back there again with my kids and family and all that stuff. But Japan has always had this way of just letting me be who I am. And it's okay to have that perfection, that drive into what I'm trying to do. I'm sure you probably already watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi and how meticulous and thoughtful and how every single day was a learning experience. Never got out of that whole realm of being the student. So, how does this really relate to coffee? I think it does because we do have this obsession of greatness and wanting to understand that coffee bean with our coffee brewer and with our palates. But this is a little different just because I'm not making bread every day. You know how we can make coffee every day, multiple times in a day. I think yesterday I made like 3 or 4 cups of the same coffee, trying to understand that coffee, But in this case, I want to do this once a week. Once a week of trying to different variations, different techniques of making Japanese milk bread. So I actually have a smaller one of these, but I went ahead and got the full loaf version of it. I think it came with 2. It has holes in it for some reason, probably so it can do something. Engineering, right? So the way I'm going to go about it is that I have a working recipe. I've tried it a couple times. It's come out pretty good, but I think there's so many things that I can do differently in order to make it work. I tried it with all-purpose flour. I tried it with bread flour and 12 minutes here, sugar there and all that good stuff. But I want to keep going down that rabbit hole. I know there's more things that I can do in order to make it truly mine. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about it. Not on this channel. No, I don't want to bore you with that. I'm going to just be with myself, trying to understand why things are what they are. I'm trying not to read as much as I can about it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be swayed one way versus the other. I don't want to be influenced, because I want this to be my own. I want to be as naive with the whole situation as I can. And as I become more naive, I become more curious, and I keep pushing myself to understand the things that I'm really trying to taste in this whole process. I may buy some Japanese milk bread somewhere in town just to kind of get an idea of the way they go about it. But that's really more so the extent of my expansion to the world of trying to understand it. Meaning that my cues will come from myself. And if I see a picture, I will wonder why it looks like that. I may consult ChatGPT mainly on my recipe, and then trying different things anyway in general, like a 20-minute kneading with the mixer or whatnot. I guess what I'm saying here is that this bread thing is going to be something cool, because I'm picking one thing. I'm trying to understand it fully. And as I do that, I'm ultimately going to get better in all the things that I want to do. And that includes coffee. Coffee is really cool. Sometimes it's elusive. Sometimes it gives you that satisfaction that you crave instantly. Sometimes you have to work at it. I understand that coffee is not this whole conquering thing all the time. Sometimes it's just a cup of coffee that you want to have before you go to work and all that stuff. But something about like pushing myself in another area and how that may relate and all the things that I'm really trying to do with coffee may take me somewhere that I never know that is possible, if that makes any sense. It's different enough to where I can learn so much things of the thing that I'm trying to do, but all the different things and drives and challenges that I'm putting myself, I can apply that to coffee. Again, I don't know how that's going to translate, or even if it does at all. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I'm like, if I do something here, how will that make me better in coffee? How will that make me better in roasting the coffee? How would that make me better in brewing and understanding that particular device that I'm playing around with? Or using something that I don't use all the time. Playing around with things like that. It's one of those things to where you don't know how things are really going to help you. And as I push myself to make this magical bread, I think it's going to help me in making this magical coffee taste even better. And I think the cool thing about it is that, of course, I'll be documenting in some shape and fashion, but it'll be helpful for you because you may be in a rut of whatever kind or not at all. Everything's just working great for you, which is great. But I think at times we do get bored. We wonder about what's on the other side. I guess this is me attempting to kind of go to the other side, but just understanding that particular medium, that element in its moment and the way that it works for me and what I like, what I don't like, and how I can translate that more and more into the things I do with coffee. I think it's going to be really cool. I don't know if you've gone through that. I'm not here to say that you need to do that in order for you to really understand your coffee. I just know that when I do other things that don't pertain to coffee, I somehow get better at making coffee, understanding coffee, seeing coffee for something more than what I think that I thought about in the past or even present. Maybe it gives me a different element of trying to understand the things that I want to do with it. You know, I think it's pretty cool. So as I sit here and wonder and trying to figure out other things that I can do with this bread, I think it's going to come to me as I delve into it. I remember I heard somebody say this before, and people always wonder, like, okay, how did you figure out what you wanted to do? I didn't like put it on the board and say, this is going to be my life's work. Same thing here with coffee. It's kind of weird that I'm talking to you about coffee, and I never knew that this was going to be the thing that I just like gravitated to and just geek out and just love to share whatever the hell I'm talking about. But I guess the biggest thing here is that you just do something. You just explore. You just figure it out. And as you're figuring it out and trying to do things, you'll see what you like, what you don't like, the reasons why. And then you may jump onto something else. And that thing may be the thing that you just can't stop thinking about, can't stop enduring. I think these little parallel things that we do a lot, they help us because it gives us that much difference in what we do all the time to where we can probably translate or understand the thing that we truly, really care about. And the beauty of it is that we just learned another skill that we can relate and kind of understand even more stuff that we're really trying to do in the world. So that's why I'm doing bread. I'm just seeing if I can perfect it. Seeing if I can perfect this particular Japanese milk bread. You know, try different ingredients, recipes, steep times, or whatever the hell I'm going to be doing with this bread. Do it with the cover. Do it without the cover. Knowing my ratios, knowing how many grams of actual bread batter that I'm putting in here to see if I can get the consistency that I want. Those are the things that I'm looking forward to, because I know as I delve deeper into that rabbit hole of understanding this particular thing, it's going to help some way, somehow. And I'll let you know with coffee. So that's just me just talking about something else that's going to help us in coffee. Probably you want to do something different to the point that it just pushes you and gets you geeked out in something that you can also just easily translate into what you do with coffee. I think it's pretty cool, whatever it may be. So this is Oki at Everyday Beans, talking about milk bread and how it's going to make our coffee better. So talk to you later. Bye.